Hi, my name is Adriel William, and today's video is specially for candidates who are applying to CAPIT process and still have not gotten any acceptance or have not gotten any invite and are facing rejection. Somebody reached out to me, said, Adriel, you're making videos for people who are getting invites, preparing for schools, but what about people who have not getting invites, and what about the hopelessness they are facing? And I have made videos in the past about it, but today I'll try to share some more strategies, some thought process, some perspective that might encourage you, help you in this process. So as we all know that CAPIT process is a very hefty and lengthy process. It's not just like you're going to pass your exam and get accepted to a school. No, you pass your board's exam, then you give TOEFL. You want to get good score in TOEFL, so you take a couple of different attempts. Then you start applying to schools, you write your personal statement, you fill in all of the documentation, you apply, you then have to fill in supplemental applications, you prepare for bench exam, you go for interview, give bench exam, and then you wait whether you're going to get accepted or not. So this is quite a lengthy process, and it requires a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and a lot of patience. It sucks the life out of you. And I do understand most candidates that reach out to me are females who are mothers and who have a lot of things going on in their life, and all of this process and its stress, it's actually trickled down not just on them but also on their family lives as well. So I tell them on day one, you want to talk to your family member, your friends, you want to figure out if you're going to go in, you have to go all in. Otherwise, if you're going to keep doing this half-heartedly and keep facing rejection, it's going to burn you out. It's going to just make you feel like a loser in front of your family. So first of all, sit down, think that you're going to face failure. You are facing failure. If you're going to move forward, you want to move forward with all the energy you've got, and you're not going to quit. That's a very important thing that you need to figure out in this journey. Whether you want to quit, if you want to quit right away. If you're not going to quit, then there's no way you're going to move back. You're going to keep going in regardless of what is required. That's the number one thing you want to figure out. The second thing I'll say is that this process during, if you're applying, you're not getting invites, you're not getting acceptances, and it's putting a lot of stress on you. Here's one thing I want to tell you, and I know there are a lot of female candidates, but I want to tell you this, that regardless of what you feel emotionally, the depression, the stress, all the feelings that you get of hopelessness, regardless of how heavy they are on you, you need to remember that by the end of the day, your actions will override them. And you might think, oh, Adriel is a guy and he's giving a very masculine kind of advice at this time. But to be honest, just because I present a masculine side of me on this camera doesn't mean I haven't dealt with stress or I haven't dealt with emotions and difficult phases of life. And I have developed a very strong feminine side of me, which allows me to read people's emotion at times. But regardless of what the emotional status of an individual is, regardless of what emotional state I'm going through, I make sure that every day, whatever task I have on hand, I need to complete it. There's no second option for me. And if I feel like it gotten to the point where I can't do the task, I will call it a day off. I might just go and sleep, just relax, take a day off, take 2 days off, take a week off. But by the end of the day, your emotions can't be stronger than your actions. You have to take some action and override your emotions. That's the first advice I can give you, because a lot of people, including myself, we are overthinkers. People who migrated, made a lot of sacrifices. We overanalyze, we overthink, and in psychology, they say the best way to override overthinking or overcome overthinking is action. Any action, any movement. And that's why most of the time you might see me on Instagram posting pictures of my gym. It's not because I like to push weights all the time. It's because that allows me to turn off my brain and relax my brain for a while. And everybody has their own way, but you need to figure out how you can override overthinking. That's the second thing that you want to look into. The third thing, which is very, very important, I'm going to tell you. Very important. You have to understand this point. If you understand this point, your whole concept of rejection and difficulty will change. And I've been reading a book recently before making this video. I was trying to gather more ideas, and there's a book which is called The Obstacle is the Way. I usually post these kind of things on my Instagram stories as well. But the book name is Obstacle is the Way by, I think, Ryan Holiday. And you can find it on Google too. But in this book, he makes a very strong point. And I know this, I've heard this from other people as well, is that if you are not getting acceptances or if you keep facing rejection, one of the key things to overcome your obstacle, and this comes from a Stoic point of view. Stoicism is a way of thought process, it's a philosophy. And one of the things they mention is that when you're facing these kind of challenges, you need to change your perception about it. For example, I'm going to give you 2 examples, and then we will use the principle in those examples for your CAPIT process. George Clooney, who's if I'm pronouncing his name right, is actually one of the Hollywood actor. You might have seen him in Ocean 11s. He's a very, very, I would say, a classy man. He's one of the most good-looking men in Hollywood now. But he also played Batman in one of the series. And he, in his career, in the early start, for 5 years, he kept getting rejection for auditions wherever he went in Hollywood. Wherever he went in Hollywood, he kept getting rejections. And after that, he said, well, I was really frustrated. I would whine, I would complain all the time. But then one day, I thought to myself that these casting directors, these people who are making movie, are in a lot of trouble themselves as well, because they want to make a movie, they want to make money, they want to get famous, they have a lot of pressure, deadline, banks, producers, team that is pushing them. And they are actually in a trouble. What if I present myself in a way that can help them solve this trouble? Most of the time, he said, we go in because I want to become an actor. I want to get famous. I want to get rich. But this time I thought, how about I go into that room for audition, but my perception or my thought process is, how can I help this man and his system to get the job done? And he said, when I had this thought process, as soon as I thought in that way and I went in for auditions, I started getting acceptances. And it made a lot of difference. And the same way, there's a psychology professor named Jordan Peterson, and people ask him, how do I find a good spouse for myself? He says it's not about how to find the right man or woman. It's about how you can make yourself the right person that people are looking for. And now, if you listen to this closely, what I just said, you can rewind if you have to, but now you want the dentist school to accept you. You want the dentist school to recruit you as an advanced standing DDS student, right? But if you look at from their perspective, the people who are sitting in there, faculty, the admission managers, all of them have a lot of stress because every year they need 40 people who are reliable, who are strong, who are academically upright, who don't have any misconducts, who are not lying with or forge wrong papers, who are competent, who can communicate, can be accepted in the program so they can have those 40 people or 20 people and start that year's DDS program and graduate them in the most easiest manner or convenient manner possible. And trust me, they have a lot of stress because they are looking at 800 applications every cycle. So what I tell people now is that rather than thinking, I want to get accepted, I want to show my relatives back in Pakistan, India, that I'm a dentist now, or I got accepted to an Ivy League, or I am the big doctor up here, look at me. Rather than thinking that way, I would start suggesting you think about how can you help these people in resolving their problem. How can I be that candidate whose paperwork they see and they say, okay, this guy looks like somebody, or this person looks like somebody who we need to bring in because he will get the job done, or she will get the job done because she looks like the right fit. And think about from that perspective. This is the most, I would say, base ground thing, the mindset that you need to have. Once you start thinking in a different perception, then from there, anything you do will add value to your application and will be beneficial for the school that you're going to go in. And I tell people all the time, this is a bloody negotiation. It's not a charity work. You are going into that school looking for an admission, and they are charging you $300,000 of money. So it's not a charity, it's a business, it's a negotiation. And you need to prepare yourself in a way that you are beneficial to their system and they are beneficial to you. That's how real business is done in the universe. And once you have that mindset, you can control your emotions. Now that was a very important point that I want to convey. Once you understand this, the next thing I'm going to tell you is there is a prayer that people who get addicted to alcohol, to drugs, they have their own meetings when they are going through withdrawal. In US, they call it Alcoholic Anonymous. So a group of people who get together and discuss about addiction and how they are trying to overcome. And there is a prayer that they usually say, I don't remember the exact the wording of the prayer, but in that prayer they say, God, give us the strength to understand the things that we can't control, but give us the strength to control the things that we can change. Now, this is very important because you might think this is for alcoholics, but to be honest, we all are addicted to some kind of bad habits or bad thoughts, including myself. There are some negative patterns in our mind that we are in tune to since our childhood. That's something that builds in us with our inner child. And we have these patterns of triggers. If we see something, for example, somebody got better scores than us in an exam, or somebody bought a better car, we might get triggered, and it brings us back to our childhood where we were not getting the good things, or maybe we were given less attention in our life, and we go into a trap of negative, vicious thought process, and it goes on and on. What I want to say is that you need to start thinking that just like those addicts to alcohol, we have addiction to negative thoughts. And what you want to do is separate the things that you can control from the things that you can't control. So in this process, it's a very long process. I'm going to tell you one thing. Most candidates who reach out to me for help are stuck with TOEFL. Their score is below 90, is below 100, and they reach out to me. They say, we are willing to pay your fee. Can you get us accepted to a dentist school? And I ask them, what's your TOEFL score? And they say 92. And I say, well, hang on. I know you want to pay money and get in, but to be honest, I don't want your money and put a bad name for myself as well. How about this, that you work on your TOEFL, you improve the score, and then we can discuss how I can help you. Now, this is a very important thing because I personally feel that TOEFL is the bottleneck in this whole process. It's a big pipeline, different steps that you have to do. But TOEFL is where most people get stuck. And what's the solution? Well, I currently don't teach TOEFL, but from what I know, there are a lot of courses, including Noteful, I think, on YouTube that I used when I was studying. That is a very helpful channel. You can look for more. There might be more channels up there, more courses, but you need to focus. You need to take days off, whatever it takes, whatever it requires to control that dragon, to make sure you get good score in your TOEFL, do it. The other thing is, whether you get accepted or not get accepted is not in your control. In your control, it is to prepare your application really well, pass your board exam, give your TOEFL, then write your application in a good manner. Most candidates, and I know it's financially expensive to get help, but to be honest, when I read people's one thing is you have preceptorship, you had good GPA, you did a master's, all of these things, which is very good. On top of that, if you write a average or a good person statement, you get an invite. But if you don't have a good GPA, you don't have masters, you had a very few dental assisting experience, and even your personal statement is not very good, well, your chances of getting accepted is lower. What I would encourage is that, first of all, try to get good score in TOEFL, try to do more volunteer work in recognized organization like Mission of Mercy, go to Red Cross, that is really helpful. Along with that, if you can afford a master's, these years, master's is becoming the normal thing. Every dental school prefer people with masters. So if you can do a master's, a preceptorship, maybe at UCLA, Boston, UCSF, do that. And on top of that, schools prefer people who have done dental assisting in the United States, paid or unpaid. So if you can do that, that will be really beneficial for you as well. So work on your TOEFL and work on these things. And after that, you want to start working on your personal statement. Writing and communication is one of the key things, at least from my services. When I work with people, the number one thing is I tell them that the way you communicate with the school, the way you present your idea and your personality is going to make a lot of difference. Now, some people can write on their own, some people can't, then they have to invest on it. And yes, this is something which gets expensive, but if you need help in this, get the help. It's very important. The next thing I see in candidates is that most of the candidates I work for interviews because I charge and I'm expensive. Most of the candidates who come to me are people who have already given an interview before and did not get accepted. And later on they feel, okay, we want somebody who's good regardless of what they are charging. We are willing to give it to them, but we want real help now because we lost one chance. And this is what I tell people all the time, is that you want to, rather than what's more expensive, paying a couple of $100 or waiting 1 year. I would rather pay that $100 or that $1,000 or that $600 or whatever it is and increase my chances of acceptance rather to wait a whole year and then spend thousands of dollars all over again and delay your career as a dentist in the United States. So you have to factor in that by the end of the day, this is a business and there is a certain way your chances of getting acceptance in a dental school will increase. What you want to do is find the right help and find what it costs you, and if you can afford it, use it. I'm not saying stupidly throw money at people for whatever they are asking. I would never do it, and I will never recommend anybody to do it. I will suggest do your research, look at things, calculate it, and if you feel like you trust this person and it's worth it, go ahead and take that help so you can move forward and get to the real stuff. You don't want to stay stuck in the basic level of things. So that's the next thing. The other thing I'll say is people who are not getting invites or gave interviews and got rejected, right now the schools are busy. What you can do, as soon as you feel like they are done with the admission process, reach out to them, talk to them, ask them for feedback, ask them how you can improve your profile. I have a video that I'm going to link in the description which will tell you how to improve your academic profile for CAPIT, which will talk about doing hygiene school or going to Florida to get your hygienist license. You can do research. You can find professors' email at different dental schools. Try to do research. You can take more CE courses. You can do a master's. You can do preceptorship. You can do dental assisting in a dental school. So these are different things you can keep doing. doing dental assisting is very important, or shadowing. So these are different things you can do, and I'm going to post that video. That's a detailed video, and I think this video goes hand in hand with that one. So you want to watch both of them. But again, there's a lot of different ways to solve this problem. But one thing I'll tell you is people who get accepted, one of the key things I see in them is their mindset. It's a certain mindset that I will get the job done. I see a lot of people coming from these countries who are elite back home, and they have a very elitist mindset. But to be honest, in United States, to get with this thing done or to achieve anything in United States, you have to be very flexible. Just because my mother was a very big dentist or my uncle was a very big dentist back home doesn't mean I would get accepted in the United States, because they don't give a crap about that. To be honest, they want to see if you are a good candidate and you're not a pain in the neck for the next 2 years and you have good credentials. That's what they are looking for, along with the ability that you can pay for their dental school program. So they are looking at all of these programs, all of these factors. And I will end this video because I know this is a lot of ideas just that I threw at you. But remember, if you're going to work on your application, if you want to be a better candidate, start thinking, how can you be a person that solves a problem for the dental school? And if you start thinking that way, it will make a lot of difference for you. I hope this video helps you. This is a very complicated topic. I tried to break it down, tried to explain it as simply as possible. If you find this useful, please hit the like button. Write in the comment box whatever you liked, and you can also write what's the next video you want me to talk about. And hopefully I'll see you in a more meaningful video, and take care.